Sup.
What up? We are back.
We are back. We've had a bit of a break. We've slowed down in the momentum with Optimistic Struggles. We hit our 10th episode and then we got mega busy, both of us.
Yep.
So
Shit hit the fan.
Yeah, it's good we're back. It's good. So yeah, Dev, what have you been up to? Because I feel like you've been harder to reach than myself.
Quite a bit. Mainly just gym stuff mostly. Getting the Tawa Fitness portal up and running. We've officially clocked our 6-month goal and it's only been 3.5. So very exciting times. Yeah.
Happy
so
days.
over 300 members now on the Fitness portal Tawa.
Wow.
And
kicking goals.
Kicking goals, smashing it, and then a couple of just everything every weekend. Things are popping up, and people are just like, "Yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this." I'm like, "Okay, right." And just trying to fit everything in. And, yeah, it's been hectic. Can't remember what happened like last weekend. So
nice, bro. And you're in your gym gears as well, strong as life.
Yep. Smash out a workout before we got onto this. So you got to fit it in when you can, right?
Very good. Very good. So we're heading myself. Just stuff. Med school, got the events running in the background. The tutor for you is ramping up a little bit. The gears have started to turn a little bit.
Put up a post of that before. Well done.
Yep. So it's all cranking away. There's lots bubbling in the background. I feel like with that company, I think it'll take off next year properly. This year it's all about test and adjust, try and do it justice, and then next year, like, really turn on the tap.
Man, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So this week for the podcast, we're hitting a topic which the viewers have requested. Is that right, Devin?
Yep. Yeah. So one of our regular viewers has requested that we do this topic about spirituality.
Spirituality,
which is a bit of a interesting one.
Yep, it's definitely something out of my domain of expertise, but I thought it's good to address topics that people want to hear about, and we'll try and do it justice, but we'll see where the conversation goes and see if we nail it for the viewer that asked for it.
Yeah, so essentially so it was actually Fraser who checked it on. He was on our live show, the call-in show, through the real juicy question us right at the start. But he said to me, how do we go about getting our spiritual findings? So have you heard of the 4 pillars of health, or there's a Māori name for it?
Te Whara Tapawha?
Yeah, something very close to that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. So you've got your mental health, you've got your physical health, you've got your family, and then there's spiritual. So I used to get very confused between family and spiritual because I'm not really a spiritual person per se, and I'm not religious in really any aspect. And it was when Fraser said to me he became more spiritual once he left the church. So he used to be in the church, and he said he actually found his spiritual grounding once he walked away from the church, and he just wanted us to divulge on how we find our spiritual grounding. So when I threw it to you, you were like, I don't really have a spiritual grounding. I was like, this is brilliant because it's going to really open the eyes of a few people on things you can do to find your spiritual grounding. So the idea of the 4 pillars of health is that you create a foundation. Pull one of those foundations away, everything collapses. So you can't just be physically and mentally well. You've also got to have that family support structure, and you've also got to have that spiritual support structure as well. So it got me to thinking, what is my spiritual grounding? And it took me back to a Mental Health Monday post I chucked back a while back, and it was actually Casey, my brother, who sent this one to me, and it's called your green dose. Ever heard of this? Ever heard of green dose before?
No, I've heard of green prescription, but I haven't heard of green dose. Same thing?
Kind of the same idea as where you're getting out and you're getting your green prescription, you're getting your green dose, but the dose stands for, is an acronym for a bunch of hormones, I guess, that you're getting. So D stands for dopamine, O is oxytocin, I'm pretty sure, S is serotonin, and E is endorphins. So what happens is when you get out in nature, you get this natural endorphin rush, you get this natural hit of dopamine. And so what I've realized is, even though it's kind of physical, if I just stay in the gym, I'm not going to be in a very good like mental well-being if I just stay inside, keep myself enclosed. Because I'm still getting my physical health, but going out for a run just gives me a whole different clarity. So if I get out and enjoy nature, go to the beach, go on a hike, go out and like do stuff, that's how I'm finding that spiritual grounding, and that's how I kind of almost, for a lack of a better word, get outside of myself, if that makes sense. So you're not really in your own head, you're suddenly somewhere else. That's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I hear you. I think spirituality gets like a bad rap outside of certain circles, because a lot of people, when they think of spirituality, they might think of religion, and a lot of Kiwis especially aren't religious. And then there's the other side of it, where when people talk about spirituality, they think of people with crystals, or they think of like crystal balls, or I don't know, they think of just things that people don't associate with much. If that's your thing, that's cool. But there's a lot of people that, when people hear the word spirituality, they tend to like just back off a little, you know. They shy away because they don't know much about the topic, including myself. Like, I'm still learning, I'm still understanding what it actually means. But spirituality can be like this really wide-ranging thing, and it's quite personal to what each individual associates with it. That's my understanding of it. So like, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What are you excited to do, and what raises your energy, and what it like goes to the core of your values? Like, why do you go about doing what you do? So so some of the things that get me excited and out of bed in the morning is just physical health, education, striving for challenging goals, at my family, just everything like that. So like although I grew up with like a religious surrounding, I'm Jewish. When our family was like more traditionally Jewish, we got together on festivals and went to synagogue on big holidays and stuff, and got involved in the Jewish community. So yeah, there was religion in my life. I wouldn't associate myself as someone who's religious. And until recently, like I'm probably not the most spiritual person, although like I know what makes me tick, and I know what gets me excited. So yeah, there's a whole range to this thing, eh?
Yeah, and I think the big thing when people say, you know, like, find your spiritual grounding, straight away you go, oh, voodoo, a little bit wishy-washy. Like, I think it's partially to do with, especially with Kiwi guys, especially. We don't really like talking about emotions. We don't really like talking about all these kind of things that we feel uncomfortable with. And if you had asked me 5 years ago, like, oh, Zev, can you talk about spirituality? I would have been like, no, that's so lame. Like, I'm not going to talk about that. Like, man, I'm way too cool to talk about that. Like, oh my god, because I'm too worried about what other people are going to think. And what I've realized now is like, it's about trying to find something that works for you. And it's exactly what you were just saying. Is some people it's what you get out of bed in the morning, right? It's how do you get out of bed, and it's kind of finding your non-negotiables. So I've had clients and they've said to me, right, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, but I'm not giving up my digestives and my cup of tea. I can imagine you can figure out that that's an English client, but that's their non-negotiable. They're not getting rid of their digestives and their cup of tea, and that's all good. Like, you can still be healthy and have like what people call their soul foods. It's almost like you're fueling your soul when you're working on your spirituality. pillar. So how do you make your soul, like, internal, feel good? Like, how do you get that kind of warmth inside? Because there's a difference between being like ecstatic, like happy, that's like that buzz feeling. But have you ever felt that kind of warmth where it's just like, yeah, life's good. Like, I just feel good. Like, do you get that very often?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people get that.
I guess just find, like, we all know what makes us tick. If you've been around for a certain amount of time, you know what things drain your energy, what brings you energy. And you just try and do more of the good stuff and less of the bad. I know that's a balancing act, and everyone's got their obligations, but I enjoy hanging around with people. The working hard, playing hard. Just the normal stuff. But I guess the like disassociation with spirituality, like, I guess spirituality is something a little bit different. It's more like what like it goes to a core of your being more rather than just your daily activities, right?
Yeah. So it's keeping that like consistency of feeling, like, because I did a post the other day about how happiness comes with a low, because it's an emotion, right? You're getting that happy feeling and then you drop and you hit the big low and then you come up and then you're down. And that's actually pretty traumatic for some people, especially people with mental illnesses, because they feel everything so much more. And I know that people with autism, ADHD, they're all like hyper stimulated to those emotions, and that makes it much harder for certain people to deal with the ups and downs of those emotions. I'm saying the same word again, but that was the only word I could use. And then, so if you can find that kind of spiritual grounding, it can take you away from the ups and downs and just kind of give you that. It's kind of like how the Buddhist monks work. Like, I really rate how Buddhism works. I had a client, Michael. He actually passed away last year. So I learned a lot from him, but I learned a lot from going to his funeral. I really didn't want to go, actually. But how the Buddhists do their, it's not quite a funeral, it's almost like a celebration of life, and they plant the ashes under a tree and let the tree grow. So they're like rebirth kind of concept. I know that they believe in reincarnation, but it was just such a cool like vibe compared to the normal funerals that I go to, where everyone's sad, this was like everybody was in color, and it was just a really like homely, like, you felt warm when you left, which is I've never experienced at a funeral before. And I think it's that kind of concept where I know that the Dalai Lama talks about being content rather than searching for happiness, searching to being content and just holding, like, just appreciating what you've got. Obviously, there's some extremes that they go to, which I would never be willing to do, and I respect the hell out of them for that. But for me, trying to get to a point where I'm comfortable is kind of my end goal. I don't care about, being super rich or super successful. I'm just out here working my ass off to make myself live an easier life, and I'm on the grind now to do it.
It's interesting you say that, because I told someone the other day that I'm exactly the opposite, right? So I'm happy, but I'm not content. And the reason for that is one of like my key values is like personal growth. Like, I've always been that way. So like I'm always thinking, how can I like improve whatever I'm working on, right? Like, I'm not a perfectionist. I don't claim to be, but I always want to be improving. That's like my happy medium, where like I thrive and where I want to be. So it's interesting that the Buddhist monks go the opposite way.
Yeah, like I'll always strive to be better, but my goal is to be at a point where I'm happy with what I've done. And if someone said to me like, I was going to die tomorrow, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I've done pretty well. Like, I've done some good shit. Like, I'm pretty happy with what I've done, who I am as a person. And I don't think there's many people who can say that there's shit that I regret that I did. But overall, I'd say most people wouldn't be able to turn around and be like, yeah, I'm pretty stoked with what I've got to.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been lucky enough to do some pretty cool stuff in our time, and just when we set goals, we go out and achieve them, or we at least give it a go. There's been many failures along the way, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, a lot of learnings from a lot of failures.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say to people who like shy away from this topic, spirituality, like myself?
I think if you shy away from it, learn. Like if it's something that makes you feel uncomfortable, go do it, because you're going to learn the most from something that you feel uncomfortable doing. In my opinion, I've always pushed for things that I'm not as good at because I want to get better at it, which is why I'm never a master of anything. I'm always a jack of all trades, because I get reasonably good at something and then I'm like, sweet, I can do that now. Now I'm going to try that thing over there. And I think it was my friend group growing up, we were all the same. But if it makes you feel uncomfortable, take that step to feeling a bit more uncomfortable and make it comfortably uncomfortable. There's a lot of uncomfortables and comfortables in that one.
That's the one. Yeah, I think I'm similar to you. If there's something that I don't know about, I try and go out and find out about it. But there's got to be an output on the other side that makes the learning worth it. And for me personally, spirituality, I haven't quite cracked what the output is, because I tend to think myself as a happy guy, and I'm going after the things I want, and I'm not too sure what that value add from getting more spiritual is. Do you know what I'm getting at?
I wouldn't even be able to like as well. For me, it's because I need it to keep my brain from going, because my brain can go like on overturn, and sometimes I overthink things, and I find it helps me have clarity for what I'm thinking. So if I'm stuck on a problem, if I go out for a long run, or if I go spend some time doing something where I can take myself out of my body, all of a sudden I have a like brainwave. So reading books is a real good one for me. So like a self-help book or anything. It's literally going and reading a book about a magician who goes and saves the world. Like complete, what some people would say is a complete waste of time. Or watching a movie. Like I went and watched Elvis in the weekend, 2.5 hours of, like, it was pretty good. I learned a lot, but I also was bored out of my tree after the first like hour and a half, because it got pretty repetitive after a while. But walking out of it, I had like a little bit of like, oh shit, I could do this, and I might not have thought of that if I hadn't gone and taken the time to kind of step back from my life, and it's taking that step out and going, right, where am I going to?
Yeah, there's definite moment like yourself. My mind goes into overdrive sometimes because got a few things on the go, and my mental reset. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I do this quite frequently. Maybe once a week, I'll go for walks at like 1 a.m. and the town is quiet. There's just a few cars on the street, if any, and I'll just go for like a 40-minute walk.
So maybe that's what it is for you, and you don't actually realize you're doing it.
Yeah, just that mental clarity.
Or like playing a game of underwater hockey.
Yeah, bro. Anything physical, like it can be anything. Underwater hockey is like the pinnacle. Just even if it's just chasing a ball or going to the gym, whatever. Like I just need to move the body. But I wouldn't consider that like spiritual. It's definitely more on the physical part for me, and like I know the endorphins that it releases, and but I definitely come back to work with a clear head afterwards.
And that's why I'm wondering if it is like, you're getting that physical benefit, but like going for a walk in the middle of the night, you're not exactly getting your heart rate up, are you? Like the blood's flowing, but your brain's getting time to like think, and you're kind of just having a chance to slow everything down,
digest
the information that you've got going through.
And sometimes I do it after a big meeting. Not like I just need like if there's a meeting and like there's a certain outcome, it gets me excited. Like I'm like, this is like there's so much potential to come, and just to like deflate the the headspace. I need to just like go somewhere calm. Or if there's a big decision that I need to make off the back of like some key information, say again, email, and it's got something real juicy in it, then I'll go for a walk as well, because it's just got to mull things over. And I'll often listen to music, have the AirPods in, and just close off the world a little bit.
So that's what I think Fraser was saying to me, is music was his go-to, one of the things that he uses to kind of like ground himself. And I guess I guess that's probably the perfect word for it, grounding yourself, right? So people use the word spiritual because maybe they didn't have another word to use. So you could maybe say your pillar is grounding yourself, and it's like finding something separate to family, physical, mental. It's the grounding, kind of setting yourself at a fresh new spot and going, right, here I go.
Yeah, because I'm definitely like quite a sporadic guy, so it's good to actually find something. What was I going to say? Never mind, I've forgotten. It's gone. See, hard. I need to go for a walk, mate.
So much information coming your way. And the thing is I don't claim to be an expert on this whatsoever. I could be talking complete, like absolute garbage, but that's just my understanding of the concept. And I'm trying to learn a little bit more about it in the small amounts of time that I've got. But it's just a really interesting concept.
Yeah, what's really hard for me is, and a lot of people vouch for its benefits, and I really wish that I could get the benefits that people talk about, is meditation.
Oh,
like
mate.
It's like the worst thing for me. Like if I like, there's sometimes when they're like lie on the ground, we'll put a tape on and like you can just like absorb what the tape says. And if I fall asleep, it's great, right? I wake up refreshed. But if I'm like trying to focus and like calm my mind and stuff, no, I've got like that stuff. It just doesn't float my boat. I can't get into the swing of it.
It was when we were at Worlds and Rob got us to do that meditation before the game. I just fell asleep.
Yeah. Like I've had it on a few occasions. Like the med school made us do it once. Like I've had just different people have really vouched for it, and they're like, come meditate with me, and like I'm trying to, and I like get 2 minutes in and I just want to like get up and do stuff, like I really wish I could get the benefits that everyone talks about, but I haven't cracked it.
So speaking of things that make you feel uncomfortable, right? So I feel very uncomfortable being alone. I don't really enjoy being by myself unless I'm working. If I'm working, I can be alone, like if I've got a task to focus on. But if it's just kind of doing nothing, I really struggle with it. And I've been working on what I'm going to do for Movember this year, because I've been doing Movember for a couple of years. Last year, I made over $1,000 in donations and got accepted into the Hall of Legends. And so they did a big breakfast, and 4 guys got up and talked about what they'd done. And one guy said, I walked 10,000 steps every day. And to me, I'm like, well, that's not that much of a challenge, really. Like, you're just walking 10,000. But for him, he had blisters. He lost like 10 kilos doing it. So like bigger dude. He didn't actually look that big. He kept the weight off apparently, which is pretty awesome. And then I thought about it. I'm like, these guys are all doing challenges that are really hard for them. And every year I've done a challenge. The first year I shaved my face, mustache, and that's a massive insecurity for me, is shaving the beard off. I don't really like the look of my own face without a beard. And then the year after, I just did. I ran 1 kilometer every hour for 24 hours. That sounds like, to some people, that's pretty easy. Other people are like, holy shit, that's heaps. That's like 24K in 24 hours, and you didn't get much sleep and rah, rah, rah. But to me, it was a little adventure. It was a bit of fun, like something cool. So I was thinking, what can I do this year that's going to be real hard? And I figured it out. I'm going to try and meditate every single day. The amount of time that I meditate each day, and see how far I can get to. And that's going to be my challenge. People will be like, that's not a challenge. But for me, it actually is. And I'll be real interested to see if it actually works as well fundraising wise, because I'm not putting myself through like physical torment. Like one year I waxed my legs and my chest and my nipples, and people were like, here's money. Like,
you know what you should do? If you have Vipassana.
No.
Vipassana is like a meditation retreat right? And I think it's something like 2 weeks or something. And you walk around in complete silence. There's
No,
other people around, right? And
no.
like they feed you like fruit and stuff for the whole time. And on the last day, you can talk to everyone, and apparently, like everyone comes out enlightened. You should
Yeah.
just like dive into deep
Uh,
end and see how you go.
I would not be able to not talk. Like I'd be sitting there singing to
No, but then
myself. Like
you like sign a contract. If you talk, you're out. Like, see how long you last.
I couldn't do it. Like
And
that
I think
terrifies
it's
the shit
like
out of me.
free, and you just give a donation, or like it's very little cost. Like they want
Yeah.
people to become enlightened and join this group or
Well,
meditation
the
retreat.
first
It's run by
suggestion I had
monks.
was, yeah, I can imagine it be run by monks. But the first suggestion I had was go spend 48 hours in the bush on my own. And I was like, how? No. Like, one, I don't have
That
time
is really tough.
in the bush. Yeah. Like, my biggest issue is I'm time poor.
Say again?
I'm time poor. So, like, that's my biggest issue to do one of these things.
Yeah.
Like, maybe in a couple of years when I've got the.
Yeah. Yeah, the SAS, they from monks to SAS, for training and selection, they have to jump into like all their exercises, but they just get like all these challenges that they have to meet, and they do it alone. The reason for that is because like some people thrive on negative feedback and some people thrive on positive feedback. But if you're alone in the bush and you have to carry out these tasks, it's like 10 times harder because you're just relying on your own will and your own smarts, and you just have to get it done. And a lot of people crumple under the situation. It's hard being alone. It's really hard.
Yeah, introverts are like, what are you talking about? It's like super easy.
Yeah.
I'd love to be alone. And I'm like, nope.
But we're
no,
social, same. Like everyone. Like just because you don't get your energy from people doesn't mean like you'd like to be alone forever, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I think most people actually want some sort of physical interaction at some point. But like some people can go a week and be like, this is great, this is blissful, and then they're like, all right, I can go see some people now. Whereas me, I'm like a couple of hours, I'm like, right, I'm bored. Who wants to hang out?
you and me both, bro. You and me both. Nah, interesting. But nah, spirituality is definitely not something that comes natural to a lot of people.
No.
Or at least the word, you know, like a lot of people think it's all about kumbaya and let's.
I was just thinking about that because especially, and then you talked about the kumbaya, and then I was thinking it made me go on a side tangent towards a girl I used to date who was part of a Rise church, and that's how my brain works. It just goes on like, I'll be talking to it, and she'll be like, "How did you get to that?" And I'm like, "Well, you said this, which made me think of this, which made me go to this." Anyway, back to my point. Potentially, spirituality could be to do with the community that you get from being part. So like people go to the church, right, and they become part of a community. Like a Rise church, they're really good at it. Everyone feels like they do like the singing of the songs and like quite like happy clappy and stuff. And like people have had their lives changed from going to a Rise church.
Is a Rise church the one that's in a bit of trouble at the moment?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, go on. I was just getting clarification on who we're talking about because I'm not so dialed into the church scene.
Yeah, well, neither am I. But it was just because I was dating this girl that I went a couple of times to the church services and was like, I'll see what it's like. Like, I felt horrendously uncomfortable. I enjoyed the singing. Like, I love a little party, so I was like, having a great time. But then, Then I was thinking about how you got like CrossFit gyms, right? They create this community and everyone's going in, and it's not just the workouts that they go for, it's that like being part of a group. So maybe the spiritual is like you've got your family, and then you've got like your friendship, like that could be your spiritual connection. Your community is your spiritual connection. Like we used to play underwater hockey.
Oh, go on. What were you going to say about?
I was just saying underwater hockey is a bit of a clique. Like not a clique, like a cult. You come in, you get dragged in, and then they wrap you into doing some committee and never leave.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Splore?
No.
Splore's a music festival near Auckland. and it's like a mix between R&V and a hippie festival, right? So like it's a bit that's sort of the vibe. It's a real good festival. They get like awesome acts in, and it's in this amazing location on this bay. So like the party area is at the bottom of the bay, and then you go up the hill, and that's where the living spaces are, and like you can go meditate, and there's like food vendors and very like organic foods and stuff, you know, that whole vibe, and like waste free. It's pretty cool. But like there's also like things for kids to do during the day. It's family friendly, and then when the sun goes down, then it gets a little more pump doof party. So yeah, it's pretty wicked. And yeah, every year someone gets married at the festival.
Really?
So everyone's in like their festival vibe. Everyone's dressed up and like weird as outfits and stuff, and then in the middle of it there's like a priest that marries a couple, and there's like a huge wait list to get married at Splore. And
shit.
yeah, it's everyone's just super happy because they're like on this hippie vibe. It's a little bit spiritual, some of the stuff that they do, but there's like kids playing around in the ocean during the day, and like face painting and like acrobatics and stuff, and like secondhand clothing stores. It's pretty mint. Yeah, and it's just like a way friendlier festival than like your northern bases and your R&Vs. It's super safe. And then like on the last night, like that's the big party, right? So they the kids go to bed, and then it's all on. Like everyone gets dressed up in fantasy outfits, and everyone gets super into it. I've actually worked at it twice, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's just you know, one of those things that I did back in the day. Yeah, but they do super well in terms of like putting it together, and yeah, they've just got a good community behind it who vouch for it and who attend it. And there's no silly buggers, you know, like you get at like maybe some of the rougher festivals. It's just good values, and everyone's just having a good time, and they're on good vibes, you know.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the concept of community can be forgotten about so easily. And I think I'm going to toot my own horn here, but something that I've noticed.
Well, podcast for, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I actually had someone mention this to me the other day on Saturday. They said like a whole bunch of the boys who've signed up to the fitness portal, and a whole bunch of the girls as well, but there's a good solid group of Tony Gym, and the confidence levels of all of them have like shot through the roof in the last 3 years. Like they're all feeling so much, and it's not just because they work out; it's because they've become part of like this community where we all like pump each other up. We're all getting like in behind each other. It's like, yeah, bro, I love your work. And then there's people getting to know people that they never probably would have talked to if it was like the general day life. Like we've got a couple of older ladies in the gym who are in their 60s, and they're like, oh, I never thought a 20-year-old bodybuilder would want anything to do with me, but here he is over here, like at the barbecue, telling me about how he's had his weekend out, and blah, blah, blah. Like, and people really underestimate how community can build like their like whole life. Like if you live a life where you kind of just got your couple of friends and everything like that, if you're happy, that's cool. But if you're like struggling and you're having like looking for something else, maybe what you're looking for is that community. And kind of what we were saying before, spirituality is that grounding comes with the community, in my opinion. So maybe that's the takeout of this podcast is, if you're not enjoying yourself, if you're struggling to find that motivation, you need to go find the community that's going to help you get that motivation or get that discipline to get the work done that you want to do, but you just can't find the time.
Yeah, like culture is king, right? So it goes back to that thing, like in business, community over commerce, friends over finance. Like you need to have all those like key values taken care of. And the funny thing is, on the other side of that creates better outputs, whether it's a more athletic team, if you're in a sporting team, or it might be a more profitable business if you're in a professional setting, or there's so many benefits to having a good community by your side, and everyone knows that they'll be looked after, and in turn they put in the energy to that community, and the machine just ticks, right? And that's on an individual level or on a community level, and also on a national level, right?
Yeah, 100%.
There's so many good things too that can come of taking care of people. So kudos to you. It sounds like the gym's going well. It goes from strength to strength. People are talking about it because they know that they'll join like a top-notch community. So no, it's good, Dev. You've put in the work. I've seen the hustle that you've put into it, and it's working out okay by the sounds of it.
Yeah. It's still okay. That's right.
Yeah.
Got to bring Modest in there somewhere.
Yeah. What's the next move with the gym, or is that under wraps for now?
At this stage, it's getting Tawa to a point where it's like kind of running itself. So got a little bit further to go with that. Probably another couple of months, and it's going to be ticking along quite nicely. And then build the Petone Tower empire. We're just doing some renovations in Petone at the moment. Trying to expand that area to look after our OG members, and then it'll be a third gym, and then a fourth gym, and then a fifth gym, and then a sixth gym, and then a 10th gym
and beyond.
We ain't stopping here. We're going big.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. No, go on you, bro.
Exactly.
No, that's cool. Yeah. Anything else to add on spirituality? It's a big topic, I feel.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I think you've got to kind of find it, as cheesy as that sounds, find it in yourself.
It's what the movies say. Must be true.
Yeah. If you don't really know anything about it, go look it up, try it out, and then like try different things. Like it's not everything's going to work for everybody. So it might be that you find your spirituality in going to church. It might be that you find your spirituality out in the wild and going and walking through the bush or going for a swim. Or it might be reading a book, watching a movie. It might be soul food. You might like a cheeky little burger every Saturday night, and that keeps you going. The thing you can look forward to that's going to fuel you for the week. When you have a burger every night, that's when you've got problems.
The thing, you know what I find interesting? So I quite like reading people, and like I get vibes off people depending on what they're doing or what they're saying or their body language and everything. And I find that when people know what makes them tick, like you can just tell that they're onto good things. Their life might not be perfect. Like I'm not saying that, but they're like working stuff out. They're getting stuff done. They're like moving forward with their life. They're moving in the right direction, and they tend to understand like what their value is, what drives them, why they're doing the things they're doing, and everything. They're just aligned. You know, they're making moves, and they say what they're going to do. They're honest people. Like challenges will come their way, but they'll figure it out, and they'll overcome them eventually. And you know that it's when that people have their life contained, you know, and I think that comes down to what they're vibing, what they're all about. And when they have that squared away, I tend to think that they may not be religious, but they know what drives them, what moves them forward, and that can be spirituality. That's all of my understanding of it a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of understand themselves to a point. Like they know what their purpose is. And like to a point, you know, everyone doesn't really know what their purpose is, but they've set themselves up so that they're like, right, this is what I'm doing, I don't know if I'm going in the right direction, but I know I'm going in a direction. I'm picked the direction and I'm going. And you can kind of, sometimes that doesn't have to be going very far. It could just be down to the dairy down the road, but it's a case of like having a bit of like clarity around what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's that whole thing that Jordan Peterson says, clean your room. Start with cleaning your room. Like, pick a direction, yeah, me too. Sort out, like pick a small goal and then like try and overcome bigger goals. I think that's the idea behind it. And if you can do that, then move on to the next thing. And slowly, your competence goes up. You can start organizing your life and start moving forward.
Yeah, improve by 1% per day.
That's the one. All right, bro. Any lasting thoughts?
I think we've covered it pretty well. Hopefully, we've done Fraser justice with our attempt at taking on spirituality.
Hopefully, yeah. Fraser, I apologize if we haven't done it justice. I don't claim to be an expert, but it is an interesting topic to talk about. So, if you have any comments, chuck them below, and yeah, we'll try and answer those. Or if you want other topics covered, we're all ears. We're all ears. Yeah. But, yeah, that's all from us for now. We'll hit it there, and then come back next week.
Probably.
Next week, hopefully if we don't get too busy.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
All right, that's all from us. Peace.